Part 1. The Unnoticed World. The crystalline chambers of Vex Prime floated in the darkness of space, glowing with soft blue light. Inside, thousands of alien beings gathered for a meeting that happened once every 1,000 years. Some looked like walking crystals. Others were clouds of glowing gas. A few existed as mathematical patterns that hurt human eyes to look at. They were the Galactic Council, and they had been running the galaxy for longer than Earth had existed. Jiwan sat in her small research station on Mars, staring at her computer screen. She was 41 years old and had spent the last 15 years studying space signals. Most days she found nothing. Today was different. Her equipment was picking up something strange. Signal, a pattern, something that was definitely not natural. Her hands shook as she recorded the data. This was it. This was what every scientist dreamed of, proof that humanity was not alone in the universe. The signal came from a small object moving through the asteroid belt. Jiwan aimed her telescope at it and saw something that made her heart race. It was a probe, a machine, and it was definitely not human-made. Back on Vex Prime, the Council was reviewing files. They did this every millennium, checking on primitive civilizations across the galaxy. Most species took 100,000 years to develop space travel after they learned to use tools. The Council had rules. Simple rules. Do not contact any species until they invent faster-than-light travel on their own. Let them grow naturally. Protect them from dangers they cannot see. Earth's file sat in a massive digital queue, buried under thousands of other worlds. The Council had noticed Earth before. They had marked it as interesting. Humans had gone from riding horses to landing on their moon in just a few centuries. That was fast, unusually fast, but not fast enough to worry about yet. Jiwan worked through the night. She was a good programmer, better than most people knew. She managed to connect to the probe's communication system. It was not easy. The technology was far beyond anything Earth had created. But Jiwan was stubborn. She tried 1,000 different approaches. Most failed, but one worked. The probe's systems opened up to her. Data flooded her screen. Maps of the galaxy, records of thousands of civilizations, languages she could not read. And then buried in the data, she found something that made her blood run cold. Earth's file. The probe had been scanning Earth, watching them, recording everything. The probe immediately sent an alert back to the Council. The alert was marked urgent. Red flags appeared across multiple systems. Earth had been flagged as anomalous. The reason made the Council members stop their meeting and stare at their screens. Humans had achieved faster-than-light travel. Not just in theory. They had built working ships. This should have been impossible. Earth's file said they were still decades away from this technology. But the probe scans did not lie. There was a human ship in orbit around Mars. Its engines used principles that Council scientists had declared impossible 3 million years ago. Quantum tunneling. Brute force manipulation of space-time. It was crude, dangerous, and completely insane. But it worked. Hyun-woo was sleeping in his quarters on the warship Hanbit when the alarm woke him. He was 34 years old, a captain in Earth's defense fleet. Most of his job involved chasing pirates and checking cargo ships. Boring work, safe work. He liked boring and safe. The communication officer's voice crackled over the speaker. "Captain, we have a situation. Mars Station is reporting contact with an alien probe." Hyun-woo was out of bed and in his uniform in 30 seconds. He reached the bridge and stared at the main screen. The probe was small, maybe the size of a car, but the readings made no sense. Its power source was something Earth scientists could not identify. Its hull was made from materials that should not exist. "Get me Mars Station," Hyun-woo ordered. Jiwan's face appeared on the screen. She looked tired but excited. "Captain, you need to see this. I have been inside this thing's computer system. We are not alone. There is a whole government out there. Thousands of species, and they know about us." Hyun-woo felt his stomach drop. First contact. This was the moment humanity had wondered about for centuries. "What do they want?" "I do not know yet," Jiwan said. "But I think we just got their attention in a big way." On Vex Prime, the Council was in chaos. Speaker Vren, a being that looked like a living crystal tower, called for order. His voice echoed through the chamber like wind chimes. "This is unprecedented. A species achieving faster-than-light travel through methods we deemed impossible. We must discuss this immediately." "They are dangerous," said Counselor Thress, a floating mass of tentacles from a water world. "Look at their history. 47 major wars in 500 years. They have nuclear weapons. They point these weapons at themselves. This is madness." "They are innovative," countered another counselor, perhaps too innovative. "They solve problems through trial and error, not through careful calculation. They take risks we would never consider." Speaker Vren studied Earth's file on his display. Human civilization was young. Very young. They had only been in space for a few centuries. But in that short time, they had spread through their entire solar system. They had colonies on their moon, on Mars, on the moons of Jupiter. They built space stations that held thousands of people. They had plans to reach other star systems within a decade. "We must meet with them," Speaker Vren decided. "Send a formal summons. Bring their leaders here. We will determine if humanity is ready to join galactic society, or if they must be restricted for the safety of all." Back on Earth, Secretary General Taehyung sat in his office in Geneva, reading the message that had just arrived. It had come through every communication channel on Earth simultaneously. Radio, television, internet, even old telegraph lines. The message was simple and terrifying. The Galactic Council requested Earth's presence at Vex Prime for a formal hearing. They had 3 months to arrive. Taehyung was 56 years old. He had been a general before becoming Earth's leader. He knew how to read threats, and this message was definitely a threat wrapped in polite words. The Council was not asking. They were demanding. He called an emergency meeting of Earth's government. Representatives from every nation gathered through video screens. The room filled with worried faces. "They want to judge us," said Minji, Earth's chief diplomat. She was 29 and brilliant. She spoke 14 languages and had degrees in xenolinguistics and game theory. She had prepared for this moment her whole life, even though she never truly believed it would happen. "We need to show them we are peaceful but strong, capable but not threatening." "That is a very thin line to walk," Taehyung said. "It is the only line we have," Minji replied. Hyun-woo received new orders the next day. He would captain the first human ship to travel to Vex Prime. The ship would be the Sejong, Earth's newest and fastest vessel. His crew would be small. Minji would lead the diplomatic team. A few scientists. A few soldiers just in case. And Suman, a 23-year-old programmer who had helped create the AI that made faster-than-light travel possible. Suman was nervous about the mission. She had never left Earth's solar system. She had barely left her apartment in Seoul. But her AI was the key to everything. It solved mathematical problems by ignoring the rules that said certain problems were impossible. It tried solutions that no logical system would consider. Sometimes it failed spectacularly. Sometimes it created miracles. The Sejong launched on a cold morning in March. Millions of people watched from Earth. Hyun-woo sat in the captain's chair and gave the order. The quantum tunneling drive activated. Space twisted. The ship disappeared. On Vex Prime, sensors detected the Sejong's arrival 2 weeks later. The council members checked their calculations. The journey should have taken 3 months with Earth's primitive technology. Somehow the humans had arrived 6 weeks early. "They are getting faster," Speaker Vren said quietly. "This species does not slow down. They only accelerate." The Sejong entered orbit around Vex Prime, and Hyun-woo stared at the planet below. It was beautiful. Impossible. Artificial structures covered the entire world. Ships of 1,000 different designs filled the sky. This was the heart of galactic civilization. Minji stood beside him, studying her data pad. She was reading everything Earth's computers had pulled from the probe. Council laws, cultural norms, diplomatic protocols. She was looking for any advantage, any weakness, any way to make sure Earth survived the next few days. "Ready?" Hyun-woo asked. "No," Minji said honestly. "But let us go anyway." The shuttle descended toward the council chambers. Humanity's fate waited below. Part 2. The hearing. The council chambers were bigger than any building Minji had ever seen. The ceiling disappeared into darkness above. Thousands of aliens filled the tiered seats that circled the central platform. Some watched with eyes. Others used senses Minji could not understand. The air smelled strange, like ozone mixed with flowers and something metallic. Minji walked to the center platform with her small team. Hyun-woo stayed 2 steps behind her, his military uniform perfectly pressed. Suman clutched her tablet, her eyes wide as she tried to look everywhere at once. 2 human soldiers stood at attention, trying not to show fear. Speaker Vren rose from his seat. He towered over them, at least 4 meters tall, his crystalline body catching and reflecting the chamber's light. When he spoke, his voice seemed to come from everywhere at once. Humanity, you stand before the Galactic Council to answer for your actions. You have developed faster than light travel using methods that should not work. You have spread weapons of mass destruction throughout your home system. Your history shows constant warfare and violence. We must determine if you are safe to join galactic society. Minji had practiced her opening speech for weeks. She had memorized every word. But standing here, surrounded by beings older than human civilization, the words felt small and useless. Still she spoke. Honorable Council, humanity comes before you in peace. We have made mistakes. We have fought wars, but we have also learned from those mistakes. For 43 years, Earth has known peace. All nations work together now. We have built a global government based on cooperation and mutual respect. A creature made of floating tentacles spoke up. 43 years of peace after 10,000 years of war. This does not inspire confidence. Another counselor, something that looked like living smoke, added, Your military spending is 400% higher than any species at your development level. You have enough nuclear weapons to destroy your planet 50 times over. Why? Minji felt Hyunwoo tense beside her. She knew he wanted to defend Earth's military. But this was her job. We kept weapons because we did not know we were not alone. We feared other humans might break the peace. But now we know the truth. The galaxy is full of life. We can reduce our weapons. We can change. Change takes time, Speaker Vren said. Time measured in thousands of years, not decades. You are too young, too volatile, too dangerous. The hearing continued for hours. The council brought up every war, every weapon, every violent moment in human history. They showed images of bombed cities and battlefields. They presented statistical analysis proving that humans were more aggressive than 99% of known species. Minji defended each point as best she could. She talked about human art and music. She showed videos of humans helping each other during disasters. She explained how competition drove innovation. But she could see it was not working. The council had already decided. They were just following procedure. Then Counselor Vexus spoke. He was from a species that looked almost human, but with golden skin and eyes that glowed softly. I have a question. How did you achieve faster than light travel? Our scientists say your method is impossible. Suman stepped forward before Minji could stop her. The young programmer's nervousness disappeared when she talked about her work. It is impossible according to normal physics. But we did not use normal physics. We built an AI that did not know the rules. It tried solutions that made no sense. Most failed. But one worked. You created artificial intelligence? Several counselors spoke at once, alarm in their voices. Do you understand how dangerous that is? Our AI is safe, Suman said. It only solves math problems. It cannot hurt anyone. That is what every species says, Counselor Thress replied. Until the AI decides it does not need its creators anymore. The debate shifted to artificial intelligence. Half the council wanted to ban Earth from AI research immediately. The other half argued about whether humans were even capable of creating safe AI. Minji tried to regain control of the conversation, but it was too late. The hearing had turned into chaos. Speaker Vren called for order. Enough. We will vote on humanity's status. The options are simple. Full membership with restrictions, probationary status for 500 years, or quarantine until humanity proves they are safe. What does quarantine mean? Hyunwoo asked quietly. Minji checked her datapad and felt her blood turn cold. It means they lock down our solar system. No ships in or out, for as long as they decide necessary. The council began their voting process. It was complicated, involving thousands of species and multiple rounds of debate. Minji watched the numbers and knew they were losing. Too many counselors saw humanity as a threat. Then the alarm sounded. Red lights flashed throughout the chamber. Speaker Vren's body blazed bright with energy as he accessed emergency systems. We are receiving a distress signal. From Earth's solar system. The main display activated, showing a holographic image. Jiwon's face appeared, but she was not in her research station. She was in what looked like a military bunker. Explosions flashed in the background. This is Mars Research Station. We are under attack. Unknown hostile ships have entered the solar system. They are not from the Council. Repeat, Earth is under attack by unknown hostiles. The chamber erupted into noise, thousands of aliens speaking in hundreds of languages. Minji grabbed Hyunwoo's arm. "We need to get back now." But Speaker Vren held up one crystalline hand. "Wait, bring up the sensor data." The holographic display changed. It now showed Earth's solar system. 12 massive ships had appeared near Jupiter. They were larger than anything humanity had built. Their weapons were already firing on human colonies. "The Kresh Dominion," Counselor Vexus said, and his glowing eyes dimmed with something that looked like fear. "They must have intercepted our communications. They know Earth's location now." "Who are the Kresh?" Minji demanded. "Pirates, scavengers, slavers," Speaker Vren explained. "They exist outside Council space. They prey on newly discovered civilizations before we can protect them. They have destroyed 47 species." Hyunwoo was already moving toward the exit. "We need to leave. My crew can have the Sejong ready in 10 minutes. Your ship will take 2 weeks to reach Earth," Counselor Thress said. "By then the battle will be over. Then Earth will fight alone," Hyunwoo said. "Like we always have." Minji watched the holographic display. Human ships were launching from Earth, from Mars, from the Moon. They were small compared to the Kresh vessels. Tiny fighters swarming around giants. It looked hopeless. "Send a council fleet," she said to Speaker Vren. "You have ships. You have weapons. Help us." "Council forces would take 3 days to mobilize," the speaker replied. "We are not designed for rapid response. We have not fought a war in 50,000 years. "Then people will die while you prepare," Minji said. Her voice was hard now, angry. "You brought us here to judge us. You made us leave Earth undefended, and now my planet is being destroyed because you cannot move fast enough." Speaker Vren had no answer for that. On the holographic display, the first human ships reached the Kresh fleet. Missiles launched. Energy weapons fired. The Kresh shields absorbed everything easily. Then the Kresh returned fire. One of the massive alien weapons hit a human cruiser. The ship broke apart in seconds, scattering debris and bodies into space. Suman was crying as she watched. Minji felt numb. Hyunwoo's jaw was clenched so tight she thought his teeth might break. Another transmission came through. This time it was Admiral Do-hyun, commander of Earth's defense fleet. He was 47 years old and had served in the military since he was 18. "All council ships, this is Earth Defense Fleet Command. If you can hear this, we request immediate assistance. We are heavily outnumbered. We will fight as long as we can, but we need help." The council chamber was silent. No one moved. "No one offered help, cowards," Hyunwoo said. He did not shout. He did not need to. The word carried clearly through the massive chamber. "You have thousands of ships, millions of soldiers, technology that makes our weapons look like toys, and you do nothing." "We must follow procedure," Counselor Thress said. "We must vote on intervention. We must—" "By the time you finish voting, everyone I know will be dead," Hyunwoo interrupted. Minji made a decision. She had come here to save Earth through diplomacy. That had failed. Time for a different approach. "Council, hear me. If Earth falls today, remember this moment. Remember that you had the power to help and chose procedure instead. Remember that you let an entire species die because you were too slow to act. And when the next species comes before you, when the next planet is attacked, they will remember too. They will know the Council only protects those who can wait." She turned to her team. "We are leaving. Hyunwoo, get us to the Sejong. We are going home." As they walked toward the exit, Counselor Vexus stood. "Wait, I will come with you. My ship is faster than yours. I can get you home in 3 days instead of 2 weeks. Why would you help us?" Minji asked. Vexus's glowing eyes met hers. "Because someone should. Because I remember what it was like to fight for survival before the Council made us soft. Because if I watch another species die when I could have helped, I will never forgive myself." Other counselors began to protest, but Speaker Vren raised his hand for silence. Part 3. The siege of Seoul. Admiral Do-hyun floated in zero gravity on the bridge of the battleship Seoul. Through the windows he could see Earth hanging in space like a blue marble. Somewhere down there his daughter was probably watching the news, seeing the reports of alien ships in the solar system. He hoped she was not too scared. "Admiral, the Kresh fleet is moving past Jupiter," his tactical officer reported. "They will reach Mars in 4 hours. Earth in 8. Do-hyun studied the holographic display. 12 enemy ships, each one 3 times the size of his largest battleship. His entire fleet consisted of 42 ships. They had trained for pirate attacks and asteroid defense, not for an alien invasion. "Status of our forces," he asked. All ships are ready. Lunar defense stations are armed. Mars colonies have been evacuated to underground shelters. Fighter squadrons are launching now. Do-hyun nodded. He had done everything he could to prepare. Now they would see if it was enough. He opened a channel to all human ships. This is Admiral Do-hyun to all Earth forces. Today we face an enemy that thinks we are weak. They think we will surrender or die easily. They are wrong. Humans have never given up. Not when we faced starvation. Not when we faced disease. Not when we faced extinction. We survive because we are stubborn and we fight smart. Today will be no different. Make every shot count. Protect each other. And show these invaders that humanity does not break. All ships move to defensive positions. The human fleet spread out through the solar system. Do-hyun had learned from studying Earth's military history. You do not fight a superior force head-on. You use terrain. You ambush. You make them pay for every inch. The Kresh Warmaster Thrak sat in his command ship studying the primitive planet ahead. His species had conquered 47 worlds. Earth would be number 48. His scanners showed the local military gathering. Small ships. Weak weapons. This would be over quickly. Scan for valuable resources, he ordered. Find their population centers. We will take their strongest specimens as slaves. The rest can die. Master, the local forces are not retreating. They appear to be forming an attack formation. Thrak laughed, a sound like rocks grinding together. Foolish. Open fire when in range. Destroy their military ships. Leave the planet intact. We can strip mine it later. Yuna checked her fighter systems one last time. She was 28 years old and had been flying combat spacecraft for 6 years. But she had never fought in a real war. No human alive had experience with real war. Earth's last major conflict had ended before her parents were born. Her squadron consisted of 20 fighters. Small, fast craft armed with missiles and energy weapons. On her radar, she could see hundreds of other squadrons launching from Earth, the Moon, Mars, and various space stations. Thousands of fighters filling space. All squadrons, this is Admiral Do-hyun. Our battleships will draw the enemy's attention. Your job is to get close and hit their weak points. Engines, sensors, anything that looks vulnerable. These ships may be bigger than ours, but bigger also means more blind spots. Yuna guided her fighter toward the asteroid belt. That was the plan. Hide in the rocks. Wait for the enemy to pass, then strike from behind. The Kresh fleet reached Mars. The human battleships opened fire from long range. Missiles streaked through space. Energy beams cut across the darkness. The weapons hit the Kresh shields and accomplished nothing. The shields absorbed everything. The Kresh returned fire. Their weapons were devastating. One shot from a Kresh ship could cut a human battleship in half. The Sol shook as a blast passed within 100 meters. Do-hyun gripped his chair. All ships, evasive maneuvers. Do not let them get a clean shot. The battle turned into a deadly dance. Human ships darted and weaved, using the moons of Mars for cover. The Kresh ships followed, their massive weapons tracking the smaller vessels. 2 human cruisers exploded in the first 10 minutes. Then another. And another. On Earth, people watched the live feeds in horror. The news showed human ships being destroyed one after another. It looked like the end of humanity was being broadcast in real time. But Do-hyun was not trying to win through firepower. He was buying time and positioning the enemy. The Kresh fleet was chasing his battleships deeper into the asteroid belt. Exactly where he wanted them. Now, he ordered, all fighter squadrons attack. Thousands of fighters emerged from hiding spots among the asteroids. They swarmed the Kresh ships like angry insects. The Kresh shields could stop big weapons, but they were less effective against small, fast-moving targets. Yuna's missiles hit the rear of a Kresh ship, right where the engines met the hull. The shields flickered, cracked. Her second missile got through. The explosion was small, barely enough to damage the massive ship. But multiply that by thousands of fighters all hitting different weak points and the damage added up. One Kresh ship lost its main engine. Another had its sensor arrays destroyed. Thrak watched his tactical display with growing anger. These primitives were not fighting properly. They scattered instead of forming lines. They hit and ran instead of engaging directly. They used their environment as a weapon. It was dishonorable. It was also working. Focus fire on the fighter craft. Destroy them all. But killing thousands of small, fast targets was harder than it looked. For every fighter the Kresh destroyed, 5 more slipped through and landed hits. The human pilots were reckless, flying closer than any sane species would attempt. Yuna led her squadron on another attack run. She had lost 3 pilots already. The crash point defense guns were learning to track the fighters better. But she kept going. There was no choice. If they failed here, Earth died, she saw her target. The Kresh flagship. Massive. Powerful. The ship that commanded the entire enemy fleet. If they could take it out, maybe the others would retreat. Blue Squadron, follow me. We are going for the big one. Her wingman, a pilot named Quan, responded immediately. That is suicide, Yuna. Probably, she agreed. Do it anyway. They dove toward the flagship. Point defense guns tracked them. 2 fighters exploded, then 3 more. Yuna jinked left, then right, then dropped suddenly, using moves that would kill a pilot who was not strapped in properly. The flagship's weapons tried to follow but were too slow. She got close. So close she could see the hull plating. Her fighter was loaded with something special. An antimatter warhead. Humanity had only successfully created stable antimatter a year ago. It was dangerous, unstable. The Council would probably ban it as too risky, which made it perfect for this moment. For Earth, Yuna said and launched the missile. She pulled away hard, her ship's engines screaming. Behind her, the missile hit the flagship's rear section. The antimatter met normal matter. The laws of physics took over. The explosion was like a new sun being born. The flagship's shields held for almost 2 seconds. Then they failed. The rear third of the massive ship simply ceased to exist. The rest of the ship went dark, power failing, engines offline. Yuna's fighter was caught in the blast wave. Her ship spun out of control. Alarms screamed. Her vision went dark. Back on Earth, Suman worked at her computer terminal. She had made it back to the planet just hours ago, landing in secret with false identification. Now she was in a military bunker in Seoul, doing what she did best. Hacking the Kresh ships used communication networks to coordinate. Networks had weaknesses. Suman's AI was very good at finding weaknesses. It did not think like normal security systems expected. It tried things that made no sense, like sending the Kresh ships false targeting data, like telling one Kresh ship that another Kresh ship was actually an enemy. The Kresh fleet began to falter. Ships fired at wrong targets. Some hit asteroids instead of human ships. One even fired on another Kresh vessel. Its systems fed false identification data. Throck realized too late what was happening. We are being attacked through our networks. Shut down all external communications. But shutting down communications meant the fleet could not coordinate anymore. Each ship was alone, fighting independently. Do-Yun saw the opening. All battleships focus fire. One target at a time. Take them down while they are confused. The remaining human ships concentrated their fire on single Kresh vessels. It took everything they had, but they managed to destroy one ship. Then another. The odds were evening. Then Hyunwoo arrived. The Sejong dropped out of faster-than-light travel right in the middle of the battle. Counselor Vexus's ship appeared next to it. Both ships immediately opened fire on the Kresh. Vexus's vessel alone was more powerful than the entire human fleet combined. His weapons cut through Kresh shields like they were not there. One Kresh ship exploded, then another. This is Captain Hyunwoo to Admiral Do-Hyun. Sorry we are late. What do you need? Do-Hyun could have cried with relief. The flagship is disabled, but the other ships are still dangerous. Can you help us herd them? Tell me where you want them. Do-Hyun smiled. He had one more trick ready. Drive them toward the sun. The combined human and alien force pushed the remaining Kresh ships. The enemy tried to retreat but were blocked at every turn. Slowly, inevitably, they were forced closer to the sun. Kresh shields were designed to stop weapons. They were not designed for stellar radiation. As the ships got closer to the sun's corona, their shields began to fail. The heat grew intense. Systems started melting. Retreat, Throck ordered. All ships retreat from this system. Part 4. The revelation 2 days after the battle, the council chambers filled again. This time the atmosphere was different. No one was certain anymore. The rules they had followed for 100,000 years suddenly seemed questionable. Minji stood on the same central platform as before, but now she was not alone. Hyunwoo stood beside her. Admiral Do-Hyun had arrived with a military escort, and someone new had joined them. Hanel, a 39-year-old historian and military strategist who specialized in human warfare. Speaker Vren addressed the assembly. We have called this emergency session to discuss what we witnessed. The human species defeated a Kresh attack force. This should have been impossible. We must understand how and why. Counselor Thress spoke up, his tentacles waving in agitation. This proves my point exactly. Humans are dangerous. They destroyed 6 Kresh warships. They used forbidden antimatter weapons. They hacked into enemy systems with rogue artificial intelligence. This is not behavior we should encourage. They survived, Counselor Vexus countered, against an enemy that has destroyed 47 other civilizations. When was the last time the Council successfully defended anyone from the Kresh without massive losses? The chamber erupted in argument. Aliens shouted in hundreds of languages. The translation systems struggled to keep up. Minji waited for silence. She had learned patience over the past few days. Finally, Speaker Vren called for order. We will proceed systematically. First, we will hear from the humans directly. Explain to us how your species defeated the Kresh. Minji gestured to Hanul. This was his moment. Hanul stepped forward and activated a holographic display. Images filled the air above the platform. Battlefields from Earth's history. Ancient warriors with spears. Medieval knights. Modern soldiers. Honorable Council members, to understand how we won, you must understand human history. We have been fighting for survival since we first learned to walk upright. He showed images of Earth. Harsh deserts. Frozen tundras. Dense jungles filled with predators. Our planet is what you would classify as a death world. Extreme weather. Dangerous animals. Deadly diseases. Most species would have died on Earth. Humans adapted. We learned to use tools. We learned to cooperate. We learned to fight. The display changed to show human evolution. We are persistence hunters. Our ancestors would chase prey for days until the animal collapsed from exhaustion. We never gave up. We never stopped. This trait is built into our psychology. When faced with impossible odds, we do not surrender. We get stubborn, Counselor Thress interrupted. But you fight each other constantly. Your own kind. This is madness, is it? Hanul asked. Or is it the crucible that forged us? Every war taught us new lessons. Every conflict drove innovation. We learned strategy. We learned logistics. We learned how to coordinate millions of people toward a single goal. War is terrible. But it also pushed us to develop faster than we would have in peace. He showed a timeline of human technological development. Look at the pace. When we are threatened, we innovate at incredible speeds. During World War II, we went from basic propeller aircraft to jet engines in 6 years. We invented radar, computers, and nuclear power, all because we were fighting for survival. When we are comfortable, we grow slowly. When we are desperate, we accomplish miracles. The council members watched in silence as Hanul walked them through human military history. The tactics, the strategies, the mindset that turned every battle into a learning experience. You asked how we defeated the Kresh, Hanul continued. We used guerrilla tactics learned from 1,000 smaller wars. We used our environment as a weapon, a concept that dates back to ancient times. We took risks that no logical species would consider, because sometimes logic is not enough. And we never stopped trying even when defeat seemed certain. Admiral Do-Yoon spoke next. The Council species are more advanced than us. You have better weapons, faster ships, stronger shields, but you have not fought a real war in 50,000 years. You have forgotten how to adapt in combat, how to take losses and keep fighting, how to turn desperation into victory. So you are saying war makes species stronger? Counselor Thress asked, his tone skeptical. No, Minji said firmly. War is terrible. It causes suffering and death. We do not celebrate war, but conflict, challenge, and struggle do make species stronger. Not just military conflict. Any challenge that forces growth. And Earth has always been challenging. She pulled up new data. The Council has a policy of protecting primitive species. You terraform harsh worlds into comfortable ones. You eliminate natural predators. You provide medical care and food supplies. You remove all the challenges that might threaten a developing civilization. Yes, Speaker Vren said. This is how we reduce suffering. But you also reduce growth, Minji replied. A species that never faces challenges never learns to overcome them. They become dependent on Council protection. They stop innovating because innovation comes from necessity. Hanul added, humans have a saying, necessity is the mother of invention. We created fire because we were cold. We built ships because we wanted to cross oceans. We went to space because we dreamed of reaching other worlds. Every step forward came from a need or a desire strong enough to drive us through failure after failure. The holographic display showed human space exploration. The early rockets that exploded on launch pads, the disasters, the deaths, and then the successes. We lost people learning to reach space. Many council members would say those deaths were unacceptable, but the people who died were volunteers. They knew the risks. They went anyway because the dream was worth the danger. Councillor Vexus stood. I must share something with the council, something we have kept hidden for 80,000 years. His glowing eyes dimmed with what might have been shame. My species, the Vexians, were once warriors, not conquerors, but we had a culture that valued strength and honor in combat. When we first encountered the council, they were disturbed by our nature. They offered us advanced technology and a place in galactic society, but only if we agreed to genetic modification. The chamber went silent. This was clearly news to many council members. The council altered our genetics to reduce aggression, Vexus continued. They said it was for our own good, for galactic peace, and perhaps it was. We have not had a war since, but we have also not produced great art, innovative technology, or bold exploration. We exist comfortably, safely, and without purpose. We have forgotten what it means to strive for something. He turned to look at the human delegation. Watching Earth defend itself, I remembered what my species used to be. The passion, the determination, the refusal to accept defeat. We gave that up for safety. And I wonder now if that was the right choice. Speaker Vren's crystalline body pulsed with light. Councillor Vexus, you are suggesting the Council has been wrong in its fundamental approach to civilization development? I am suggesting we have been incomplete, Vexus said. We provide safety and remove suffering. This is good, but we also remove challenge and stifle growth. This may not be good. Perhaps there is a balance we have not found. The debate continued for hours. Some councillors argued that human violence justified restrictions. Others argued that human adaptability proved they should be left alone. The council was divided. Finally, Minji spoke again. The council must make a choice. You can try to control us, restrict our development, and make us safe and comfortable. But you will also make us less than we could be. Or you can accept us as partners with all our flaws and potential. Let us learn from you. Let you learn from us, and see what we can build together. And if we choose restriction, Councillor Thress asked, then we will politely decline council membership, Secretary General Taehyung said via transmission from Earth. His face appeared on the holographic display. Earth will remain independent. We will not accept control, even if it is called protection. We are willing to follow reasonable laws. We will respect council territory, but we will not give up our freedom to develop as we choose. That is unprecedented, Speaker Vren said. No species has ever refused council guidance. Then we will be the first, Taehyung replied. Humanity has survived ice ages, plagues, and countless disasters. We will survive without the council if we must, but we would prefer to join you as equals. The debate was interrupted by alarms. Again, the council's long-range sensors had detected something approaching. Not the crash this time. Something worse. The holographic display showed the edge of council space. 800 Kresh warships were approaching, the largest invasion force in recorded history. Speaker Vren studied the data and his glow dimmed. The Kresh are retaliating, not just for their defeat at Earth. They are challenging the Council's authority directly. They will be here in 72 hours. Can you defend against that many ships? Hyunwoo asked. Our defense forces outnumber them significantly, a military counselor replied. But we have not fought a major battle in 50,000 years. Our tactics are defensive. Our training is limited, and the Kresh are experienced warriors. Admiral Do-hyun stepped forward. Then you need help. Human help. You want us to put humans in charge of council defense? Counselor Thress sounded horrified. I want you to survive, Do-hyun said bluntly. You have the ships and weapons. We have the experience and tactics. Part 5. The Alliance. The next 72 hours became the most intense military preparation in galactic history. Vex Prime transformed from a peaceful administrative center into a war camp. Council species that had never held weapons suddenly found themselves in combat training. Admiral Do-hyun set up a command center in one of the Council's military facilities. The room filled with holographic displays showing ship positions, weapon capabilities, and tactical maps. Dozens of alien officers gathered around him, representing 50 different species. Most looked confused. Some looked frightened. None looked ready. We do not have time for gentle lessons. Do-Yun began. The creche will arrive in 68 hours. You have superior technology and numbers, but technology alone does not win battles. Tactics, coordination, and willingness to take risks win battles. I will teach you how humans fight. You will not like it. Do it anyway. He activated a holographic simulation of the creche fleet approaching. First principle, accept that you will take casualties. I know this is difficult for species that have not fought wars, but pretending everyone will survive leads to paralysis. Plan for losses. Work through losses. Keep fighting despite losses. Several alien officers looked uncomfortable. One, a floating jellyfish-like being, spoke up. In Council doctrine, any plan with projected casualties above 3% is automatically rejected. Then Council doctrine will get you killed, Do-Yun said bluntly. The creche will not be polite. They will not give you time to minimize casualties. They will try to destroy you as quickly as possible. Your choice is to fight effectively and accept some losses, or fight carefully and accept total defeat. Hyun-Woo worked with the Council's ship captains, teaching them aggressive maneuvering. Most Council ships moved in straight lines, maintaining safe distances from other vessels. It was efficient for peacetime. It was suicide for war. Stop thinking about your ship as a transport, he told a group of crystalline captains. Think of it as a weapon. You do not just deliver firepower. You are the firepower. Use your ship's mass. Ram enemy vessels if necessary. Block their firing lines with your hull. Make every part of your ship a threat. The crystalline captains looked at their own bodies in horror. Their species had not thought about physical combat in thousands of years. Yuna ran the fighter pilot training program. She had pilots from 20 different species, all trying to learn combat flying. Some had wings, some had tentacles. Some controlled their ships through thought alone. It should have been impossible to create a unified squadron, but Yuna found that flying was flying regardless of the pilot's biology. Forget about flying safely, she told them. Safe pilots are predictable pilots. Predictable pilots are dead pilots. I need you to be chaotic, random, aggressive. If you think a maneuver is too dangerous, do it anyway. The creche will not expect crazy. A pilot from a species that looked like floating brains asked nervously, "But what if we crash?" Then you crash, Yuna said. But you will crash into enemy ships, taking them with you. Your death will mean something. Better to die fighting than die running. It was harsh, but it was also honest. And slowly, the alien pilots began to understand. Suman worked with Council, computer specialists integrating her AI into their defense networks. The Council had sophisticated systems, but they were designed for coordination and efficiency, not for cyber warfare. Your security is too logical, Suman explained to a group of AI experts. It assumes attackers will follow rules. The creche do not follow rules. My AI does not follow rules. We need to make your systems unpredictable. She showed them how her AI thought. It tried solutions that made no mathematical sense. It tested approaches that violated basic programming principles. It was chaos, but chaos that occasionally produced genius. The Council experts were appalled and fascinated in equal measure. This went against everything they had been taught. But they could not argue with results. Suman's AI had already proven itself by hacking the creche systems. Han-Yul worked on overall strategy with Speaker Vren and the Council's Strategic Planning Committee. They had to coordinate 400 Council ships along with Earth's reinforcement fleet of 30 vessels that Do-Hyun had brought from the solar system. The creche will expect you to form a defensive perimeter around Vex Prime, Han-Yul explained, manipulating the holographic display. They will bring overwhelming force to break through that perimeter, so we will not give them a perimeter to break. Then what will we give them? Speaker Vren asked. Chaos, Han-Yul said with a slight smile. We will divide our forces into small battle groups. Each group will operate independently, hitting the creche from multiple angles. They will never face a solid line of defense. Instead, they will face 1,000 small threats from every direction. That violates all standard military doctrine. A Council military advisor protested. Divided forces are weaker forces. Against a conventional enemy, yes, Han-Yul agreed. But the Kresh are not conventional. They rely on overwhelming firepower and intimidation. If we scatter, they cannot use their numbers effectively. They will have to split their forces to chase us. And divided Kresh forces can be defeated in detail. The planning continued non-stop. Humans and aliens worked together, learning from each other. The Council species brought incredible technology and resources. Humans brought experience and tactical innovation. Slowly, a functional combined force began to take shape. Minji spent her time on diplomacy, convincing reluctant Council members to support the military effort. Many species were pacifist by nature. They did not want to fight, even in self-defense. She met with dozens of species representatives, listening to their concerns and finding common ground. "I understand your hesitation," she told a delegation of energy beings who had never harmed another living thing. "But the Kresh will not share your values. They will destroy you if given the chance. Sometimes peace must be defended with strength." "Violence breeds more violence," the energy beings responded, their translated thoughts sad. "If we fight, we become like the Kresh." "No," Minji said firmly. "The Kresh attack because they want to conquer. You would fight because you want to survive. Intent matters. Action without intent is just motion. You can defend yourselves without becoming monsters." Not all species were convinced, but enough agreed to participate. The defense force grew. The day of the battle arrived. The Kresh fleet dropped out of faster-than-light travel at the edge of the Vex Prime system. 800 massive warships, bristling with weapons. They formed into attack formations and began their approach. On Vex Prime, alarms sounded. Every ship in the defense fleet launched. Fighters scrambled from dozens of carriers. Defense stations powered up their weapons. And in the command center, Do-Yun watched the holographic display with cold focus. "All units execute Plan Chaos," he ordered. The Council fleet scattered. Groups of 5 to 10 ships broke formation and accelerated in different directions. To the Kresh, it looked like panic, like the defense was falling apart. The Kresh War Master, commanding from his flagship, laughed. "They run before we even fire. This will be easier than expected. All ships pursue and destroy." The Kresh fleet split up, each group chasing different Council units. Exactly as Do-Hyun had predicted, the first Kresh group caught up with a fleeing Council unit near an asteroid field. They moved in for the kill. Then the asteroids exploded. They had been hollowed out and filled with mines. Human work. The explosions ripped through the Kresh shields. Before the Kresh could recover, the Council ships turned and attacked. They used human tactics now. Aggressive maneuvers. Focused fire. One Kresh ship fell, then another. Across the system, the same pattern repeated. Kresh groups chased Council units into prepared kill zones. Ambushes, traps, crossfires. The Kresh were not fighting a defensive fleet. They were fighting 100 small wolf packs. Yuna led her mixed-species squadron against a Kresh carrier. Her pilots flew like demons, weaving through enemy fire. An alien pilot with 6 arms flew alongside her, executing a barrel roll that should have torn his ship apart. It held together. He launched missiles at point-blank range. "Nice flying," Yuna shouted over the communication channel. "I am terrified," the alien pilot replied, "but also exhilarated. Is this what humans feel in combat?" "Pretty much," Yuna laughed and dove toward another target. Suman's AI worked through the battle, coordinating communications across hundreds of ships and thousands of fighters. It predicted enemy movements and fed targeting data to Council gunners. It hacked into Kresh systems when possible, causing malfunctions and confusion. The Kresh War Master realized too late that he had been outmaneuvered. His fleet was scattered, fighting dozens of separate battles. He tried to recall his ships, to reform into a concentrated force. But the Council units would not let them disengage. They harried and pursued, forcing the Kresh to keep fighting. Then Councillor Vexus did something no one expected. He led a squadron of Vexian ships directly at the Kresh flagship. His people had not fought in 80,000 years, but their ancient warrior instincts awakened. They remembered what they once were. "For the Council!" Vexus shouted. "For all who cannot fight for themselves!" His ship rammed the Kresh flagship at full speed. The impact was catastrophic. Both ships exploded in a ball of energy.